What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Thingamajigger Thursday here at Two Acres, where I review or explain a unique and uncommon tool once a week. If you like this kind of stuff, please hit the like button, maybe consider subscribing. Last week I showed you or gave you a sneak peek of this goofy looking tool. It's actually called a ridge reamer, and we did have a correct answer in the comments, so I appreciate that. Thanks a bunch. I did know what this is. I looked it up, but honestly I've never used one. Now I happen to have a spare block. Well, it's not a spare, it's an old busted up block from a boat I was helping a buddy work on. He was just going to pitch it. So I've been dragging around the country literally for over 10 years. So we'll get to actually test this out here. And if you stick around to the end, we're going to do a sneak peek for next week's tool. Let's jump right in. All right, so here's that old block. It's I think like a 3.6 liter GM model. Oh, sorry, GM 4.3 liter, it says right there. So it came out of a boat, like I said, and right over here you can see why. Big old crack right through the water jacket there. Anyhow, it'll give us a good chance to demonstrate how this tool works. All right, so the point of this ridge reamer is to help take care of a little lip that develops around the ridge or the top of the cylinder after, years of service, call it 100 to 200,000 miles on the engine. Piston comes up and down inside of here and it stops just short of the top. So when you go to rebuild these engines, a lot of times there will be a buildup of either, soot, carbon, or actual a metal lip right here at the top where the inside, further down in the bore, has been worn down just slightly more than what it originally started at. So when you go to take your pistons out, if you're rebuilding the engine, you want to knock that ridge down. If you're taking it in to get machined, then obviously it's not really going to matter. But this is just for like a home job. If you're going to just disassemble it, put some new bearings in the bottom end, top end, you're planning on reusing the same pistons, you want to go ahead and get rid of that ridge so you can slide your pistons out. You'll probably be using new rings, so that's not a huge deal. Let's see how it works. So quick anatomy of the tool. We've got these three legs right here that expand out and lock it into the cylinder itself. We've got an adjustment right here for the cutting edge, which there's a carbide cutting edge on the tip here, and it rocks so that it can lay as flush with the cylinder wall as possible. This guy here adjusts how far in or out that cutting edge goes. You start on a number 2. Let's see if I can actually see this with the camera. There's a number 1. Come on, focus. A number 1 over here, then a 2, then a 3. Yep, there they are. So you start off on the number 2, that's the midway setting. Once you get it set in the cylinder bore, you bring it over to the number 3, that pushes it out to its max extension. Then when you go to retract the tool, you bring it back over to the number 1. All right. This guy here adjusts this top plate. So you collapse it all the way in so that it slides into the cylinder good. Then you slide it back apart, tighten that back up, and then you can adjust your cutting edge. This bolt here, there's actually 2 parts of this one. There's an inner thread in here and an outer thread, something like that. You turn this one to expand the legs, then you spin this one clockwise and it rides up these reverse threads and scrapes and raises at the same time. So let's see if we can get it installed and give it a shot. First thing I need to do is loosen up this one, which I hadn't done that yet. There we go. Okay, so by loosening the side one up here, it collapses in on itself. Now we can slip it down in the bore. Now before I actually lock it down in there, I'm going to go ahead and just pre-adjust it to make it a little bit easier on me. So we'll set this up like this, and as you spin this top nut, you'll see these legs expand out. See them going there? So we'll get it close so that I don't have to hold on to it too tight. There we go. And when you go to set it in initially, you want your top plate here, your cutting plate, all the way down, which is actually reverse direction. So you loosen it, lefty-loosey, but it's actually running it down. Yep, running it down. There we go. And it would actually be kind of advantageous to have the piston in there because you could set this thing down in there on top of the piston, so you're not trying to hold it all at the same time. And you notice it's got these cutouts, these half moon cutouts. Those are actually finger slots so that you can get your fingers down in there to hold it in place while you're adjusting it. So there's that. So we'll set it down in here to where that cutting edge is just below that lip that we're trying to take care of, which this ironically doesn't even have a bad lip. Unfortunately, the engine itself got trashed because it got water frozen in it. The boat wasn't properly stored for winter. And even though it was in Florida, why is this not working? Oh, I'm holding on to the bottom, that's why. Even though it was in Florida, it was a really cold winter, and yeah, froze it solid. I'll go down just a little bit further. There we go. All right, so that's in place and installed now, and it's basically self-centering. Since there's 3 legs, it self-centers perfectly. Now we get our little socket here. Well, that's already on 2. We loosen the slide plate adjuster or lockdown. Slide it out till it touches the edge. Lock it back down. Okay. Then we take the cutting edge adjuster, put it on 3. That puts a little pressure on the cutting edge. And you want that cutting edge to start below where you think the lip would be. So right now I have it, you can't really see it, but I do have it set below where that ridge would be. Okay. Now this, even though this is a reverse thread, now all we do is turn it clockwise and it will rotate itself up and out and cut that edge the whole time. So since it's below where the ridge would be, it's just going to slide for now. Once it gets to where a ridge would be, then it will actually start cutting. But like I said, there's not much of an edge on this thing. Or a lip, I mean, a ridge. It is cleaning it though. It just rotates itself up and out. Once you're clear of that ridge, like that, basically at the top, swap our sockets, retract the blade to the number 1 position just to get it completely out of the way. Sorry about that. Okay, blade's out of the way. Now we'll loosen this guy up, which I don't know why you wouldn't just do that first. I'm not even going to bother with that. So now we loosen our lock legs in there. It slides right out. Now, like I said, there wasn't much of a ridge in there to begin with, but it definitely cleaned up what was there. Like, I can't even get a fingernail on it. So obviously there wasn't really anything there to worry about. So that's it, ridge reamer. I know OEM Tools makes one of these. Theirs had a metal spring on it. This might just be an older version, or maybe the metal spring has been lost and somebody just used an O-ring in its place. I don't do a whole lot of engine repair, deep engine. I have rebuilt 3 engines all on my own, you know, start to finish everything. But it's just not something I'm doing all of the time. But this definitely would be handy. Now, with that said, I'm in the process right now of redoing the camshaft, lifters, rocker arms, all that crap in the old Centurion. If you haven't seen any of those videos, please check them out. I'm kind of behind on posting right now, but I still have probably, I think, 4 or 5 videos posted, and then another probably 5 or 6 of the projects I've been doing to it since then. Anyway, it's a really cool truck, a Centurion 4-door Bronco, 1988, C350 basically. And who knows, if this camshaft dealio doesn't work, I'm going to be pulling that engine, and I'm really hoping I don't have to. I mean, that's just something terrible that I don't want to deal with right now. Anyhow, so pretty nifty little tool. This is definitely going to be going in the toolbox of my unique and special tools. Now for this one here, this is the sneak peek for next week. It says Sargent, S-A-R-G-E-N-T, Sargent on it. Looks like it has a little, you know, like a little claw nail puller or staple puller maybe. This end looks like it's probably a screwdriver. And they look like side cuts, except they're not flush. So I don't know exactly what they are. I'm going to have to dig into it. If somebody does know what they are, please go ahead and throw that in the comments, and that'll help me out a little bit and help everybody else out. But I'll be reviewing that next week. So, all right, well, that's it for this week. Appreciate you stopping by. Remember, if you do like this kind of stuff, please hit the like button. Consider subscribing. If you got any ideas or suggestions for future tools, I probably got it laying around, or I will probably run into it at some point at an auction. Still have probably hundreds of tools that I'm going to be able to do here, so should be able to keep this going for quite some time. But I do appreciate the feedback, so thank you again for that correct comment on the ridge reamer. Pretty unique tool, you know, it's very complex for as small as it is. Anyway, again, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. We'll see you next week.